Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Luigi Galaxy on the Super Mario Galaxy game for the Nintendo Wii / Nintendo Wii U as a digital download software. So, yeah, last time we actually did manage to, collect some more power stars on the forms of the bedroom dome by able to actually exploring through the last few portions of Freeze Flame Galaxy, and we managed to able to go on through the rest of Dusty Dawn Galaxy, and especially noticeable, we've rescued our twin Luigi for the third and the final time for this run through. And today for this video is the fact that we're about to continue on and hopefully collect some more power stars in the process by going back into Dusty Dawn Galaxy, and especially noticeable with the Honey Climb Galaxy until later on, and as well as Big Mouth Galaxy, and especially noticeable for Bowser's Dark Matter plants. And something else is completely different for a change compared to the forms of how it does it on the Mario's Let's Play of the forms of Super Mario Galaxy, is that I'm actually going to be going through the Trials of Galaxy after, when I did manage to deal with Honey Climb Galaxy for afterwards. Because of that, though, I feel like doing something for a little bit different for a change compared to the forms of how it does it in the usual run-through. Because of that, though, I'm actually going to make it somewhat a little bit different for this point. See, even then, though, and after all, that Luigi got a ton of extra lives at this point, and as a result from that, though, it doesn't really matter if I continuously die on that particular Trials of Galaxies anytime soon. See, even then, though, expecting of much, then, yeah, everything else to be expected too. So yeah, today was actually forms of the 22nd of May in 2019. So even then, though, only about I would say almost about a week left until the final day of May. So even then, though, hopefully, though, by the time for this recording, and especially noticeable for the rest of my Let's Play of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, which I still need to able to wrap things up and during at some point at the end of this month, which is potentially speaking, it will able to make it happen, because either way, that I cannot even believe that I almost finished up with Klonoa Daughter Phantomile once I've still managed to come back into Super Luigi Galaxy in the process, mainly only forms of well, the rest of May month, and especially noticeable that I would able to love to able to actually just conclude this Let's Play in general until at some point in June before we get to Super Mario Galaxy 2 until, in July and onwards. And hopefully that will gives us a chance to able to do so. See, from then though, not much else, anything else to say about when it comes to news and related updates and here and there. It's just a matter of the fact that, well, none of those news has been unchanged or anything. Apart from the fact that we've only got about 2 more days to go until Disney's Aladdin remake will be on its way on the forms of the big screen. So even then, as far as I've seen the reviews of the actual film yet, well, he hasn't really uploaded anything about it yet, because obviously this particular Aladdin remake film is going to be most likely somewhat spoiled heavy, just because of how the fact that, well, I'm probably not going to explain things too much about it, because obviously we've only got about, 2 more days to go until that film is about to be releasing. So even then, though, I'm really still looking forward to see how Will Smith is going to be performing as the genie. So even then, though, that way he should able to, makes us entertaining and stuff like that. So even then, though, because if you probably did not know already, I think we've already explained about this before, that we now into the forms of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which I will admit, though, I actually really do enjoy the TV series, especially noticeable with how the fact that in one of those episodes, actually, which I always attempt to enjoy, and now we see forms of, the house is burning on fire and stuff, and especially noticeable with how the fact that with, I would say Mad Dog, if I remember correctly, but even then, though, because it's been quite a while, actually, since I actually watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. See, but then I cannot even believe about the fact that that particular TV series is going to be 30 years old next year until 2020, around the same year as, the 30 years celebration for the Rescuers Down Under, and especially noticeable with, I would classify for saying, actually it might, oh, forget what I just said, but anyways, another thing I want to explain about this, actually, is the fact that in addition with, Team Sonic Racing did recently came out yesterday, there's also, I think I already explained about this before, that Resident Evil 4 did recently release for the Nintendo Switch, which was sadly is no gyroscope motion controls, because I was assuming that the Wii version is definitely more superior to the forms of how it does it on other console variations, because most of the motion controls in Resident Evil 4 actually work superbly, even though I haven't got that particular game just yet though, but I'm pretty sure that I accidentally picked up Mortal Kombat Armageddon, which appears to be my final Nintendo Wii game I've ever got. So, I don't know if I'm going to be replacing one of those games potentially though, but even then I might as well see what happens there. So, even then though, that's as far as I can, yeah, I just don't know why I just usually turn away like that, so I must admit that I do apologize for that. Because of that though, I always have to make sure I have to double check on the actual, like, my gaming shelf and stuff, just to see if how my Wii games and stuff like that will be, well, you know, just keep things updated. So, and as you can see, that we've managed to reach up to 60 star mark. So even then though, we're now on to the halfway point of Super Luigi Galaxy from now on. So even then though, because of that though, we're almost there to the 120 power stars count. So, but you know, you get the idea. Hopefully we can able to actually just to finish this Let's Play, well, in the entirety of Super Mario Galaxy and Super Luigi Galaxy at the same time, enjoying at some point in next month. So even then though, we can hopefully guarantee we can do that, but even though that there might be some little brief updates as one to classify for such. Because of this though, you know how the fact that Sonic and Pinkie Pie are still carry on doing Super Mario Party, and as a result, the only points they actually got into right about now is on the minigames mode. So even then though, in one of those minigame modes they're now going to be moving on to at this point, was actually in the forms of Square Off. So even then though, well, recently they did manage to done Mario Fun so far. So even then though, that hopefully they expect to show you guys the online version of Mario Fun especially as well, even though at some point in the future. But for now on though, yeah, when it comes to other videos for Super Mario Party, what you know, Sonic and Piglet, no, Sonic and Pinkie Pie, sorry, I did accidentally say my name correctly, or in this case, incorrectly, I should say. But, the next, couple of modes they need to show off is, obviously free play, for starters. Well, not free play just yet, though, but instead it was Square Off, so, then after that, then it'll be free play, and after all that, well, we might as well see what happens then until at some point next weekend. But not this weekend, though, because, you know, those two are expecting to able to deal with, you know, Square Off, and especially noticeable with the free play mode, in case there are some mini games they have not played yet. So even for the majority of the Let's Play of the time. So hopefully that will be expected of such. So, and another thing's worth bringing things out is the fact that speaking of Resident Evil 4, is the fact that recently that particular game on the Nintendo Switch has recently came out yesterday as well, alongside with the forms of Resident Evil 0, and especially noticeable with Resident Evil 1 HD Remaster. So even then though, kudos to that though, but even then though, as I said this before, that the Resident Evil 4 does not support motion controls anymore, which is kind of sad, because even then though, if that's to be the case, then it will make it a huge top sale with the, like, although somehow it's a digital download only, just like the forms of how it does it in most Capcom games these days now. And as a result for this kind of stuff though, they did manage to able to do it so well for the Nintendo Switch. I don't know exactly if that will be compared to any other versions of the game at this point. Like, you know how the fact that the Wii version is definitely more superior to any other versions of the game so far, most notably because of the motion controls in here and there. And I really don't know about some extra features though, because I haven't really looked upon the actual Let's Play of Resident Evil 4, other than some occasional watchable stuff on Resident Evil 4, which is, oh god, that was really close. Oh jeez. If I accidentally died right there, then I'll have to go for all the whole entire mission again, which thankfully though, that might not be the case, because obviously there's no hazards or no enemies to be signed around here, so even then so, we had a pretty easier time on this particular mission itself. So even then though, and yeah, that's as far as I can most likely say about this information, I'm afraid to say guys, because, well, not much else to talk about, because either way, you know, you get to suggest. So 61 power stars, and I think we've actually got about 9 power stars to go, which appears to be at the rest of the very end of the game, which, sure enough, we were able to actually get to it quite fast than attempted to. So let's go ahead and open up the Honey Climb Galaxy and able to actually deal with that level for the final time. So, And even then though, as far as a result from that kinds of stuff, as soon as we're able to actually like, well, after we're able to conclude this level, especially with this mission entirely, well, we can able to actually just to do, I was trying to save up for Big Mouth Galaxy until after this level's done, but again, I'm actually going to be doing something slightly different. And speaking of slightly different, that, when it comes to, like, the Trials of Galaxies, in this case, to be more specifically, the 3 Trials of Galaxies, is that I'm actually going to be going those galaxies in a different order, because normally, in the Mario's playthrough, I managed to able to go through, Rolling Gears Mode Galaxy first, and then Loop-de-Slope Galaxy for the second, and I always attempt to able to go through like the Electric Labyrinth, or in this case, Bubble Blast-Off Galaxy for last. But instead, I'm actually going to be doing something slightly different for a change, is the fact that I'm actually going to be going after, well, you'll see why in just a moment, and by the time for this video's recording session, this has been like fully uploaded, which has already happened during today, so... But I digress. So, somehow no Nintendo Direct has been planned for the time being, because, you know how last week we've already got Super Mario Maker 2 Direct, which I will admit though, it was very impressive to me. Especially noticeable of how the fact that we got some more features here and there. And one thing I forgot to mention about this, and during the likes of in Super Mario Maker 2 Direct, when I sort of mentioned about this and during the likes of this particular Let's Play so far, about the fact the matter is though, is the fact that you can also, there is also multiplayer, but you can able to actually like, well, I've already mentioned about this, about the online local multiplayer and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. They can able to play as not only Mario, but it's also Luigi, Toad, in this case Blue Toad, and Toadette. And especially noticeable with how the fact that we can able to get, potentially speaking, that we can able to actually have to see Cat Toadette for the very first time. So even then though, it's pretty cute all in all, especially noticeable with how the fact that most of these images, even with the actual promotional artwork, or the actual, like, full art of Super Mario Maker 2, even for the actual, like, you know, for the actual full art, it just seems like, you know, there's a ton of, like, I forget what I just said, but I digress. So we got 62 power stars, so not too bad, not too shabby either. And we got ourselves about quite a few star bits around here, so even then though, hopefully we've got about enough so that we can able to actually use those for the Hungry Luma itself. And before we're able to deal with the Hungry Luma stage, which is essentially Big Mouth Galaxy, that, as I said before, we're also able to go and get started with the Trials of Galaxies or what have you. So, but here's what I've been thinking about this, is the fact that I'm actually be going after the Bubble Blast Galaxy first. Because of that though, I feel like gonna go for hardest to the easiest. Well, I would say by the forms of like hardest to the easiest to the medium difficulties, as far as I'm aware for those, you know, those 3 Trials of Galaxies, as you can tell. So, because normally in my Mario's playthrough of this, that I can usually save those until whenever I finish up with the main stages. But it turns out I'm actually going to be doing, you know, slightly different for the table. Or in this case, you know, decide to go for a different amount of, like, some different styles for a change. So, but you get the gist of it. So, and I do apologize with my lack of dialogue for that point, folks, because there's not much else I can just say about this here, I'm afraid, because, you know, there's not much else to talk about until, well, by that time, we haven't got that long left until, you know, this year's E3. I'm presuming that we actually got about, like, 3 more weeks to go until the, you know, Nintendo's E3 Nintendo Direct presentation. So hopefully I'm really looking forward to see how these new titles were able to be announced with. So, it might not be another Mario Party game to be announced in this year's E3 for 2019, because obviously, it's so weird about the fact that most of these Mario Party announcements, well, apart from Mario Party 9, which it did announce that back in E3 2011, because we haven't got a Mario Party game for 5 years since, you know, Mario Party DS, and especially noticeable with Mario Party 8, because of how the fact the matter is though, is that, you know, they just move on to a different developer, and especially noticeable with how the fact that, you know, how Hudson Soft was now able to focusing on some different projects and stuff like that for that nature, most notably with the Bomberman games and stuff like that, but every now and then is that the Bomberman games has now moved on to Konami for this point right now, ever since in Super Bomberman R. So yeah, you get the actual adjusted bit for the actual, like, publishers or anything like that. So, but I digress. And usually speaking of such, when it comes to the retrospectives of certain Mario Party announcements, is that, well, obviously we've got the first Mario Party game on the 3DS, which actually, well, just, announced it back in, during in April in 2013 Nintendo Direct in the 17th of April, and out of nowhere, then we can actually get ourselves the actual final name, which appears to be Island Tour, until like sometime in August or October. Even though I haven't really exactly looked at on that particular first announcements for such a long time. And then by out of nowhere, in 2014 E3, we got ourselves Mario Party 10, which I'm assuming that everyone seems to ask for it, because after all, we got, back in 2014 anyway, in the beginning portion anyway, that we got ourselves 9 console Mario Party games, but usually everyone seems to say they're actually going to go for the 10th one, because, similar to Mega Man classic game, I forget what I said, but either way, for the classic Mega Man games, that's what I meant to say anyway, that with the classic Mega Man games, always goes like 10 titles, and it wasn't until we get ourselves the 11th entry until, in 2018, and we'll never know until when the Mega Man 12 will be announced at some point in the future, or especially noticeable with Mega Man X9. So even then though, expecting so, possibilities were endless. So, and then during E3 2016, we got ourselves the second entry of, of the Mario Party games on the 3DS, but this time around with a, a no longer waiting for your turn routine, which even then kind of does the same thing for the top 100, but I'll mention more on that temporarily. But even then though, that they did announce Star Rush back in E3 2016, like right before when the game actually showed off on that particular Nintendo Treehouse Live. So yeah, that's something. And also during the likes of in Nintendo Direct in September the 13th of 2017 Nintendo Direct, out of nowhere they got ourselves Mario Party the top 100 for the third entry of the 3DS, which even though it's a pretty cool idea to be able to add most of these minigames from the Mario Party's past from the console entries, but the actual replayability, even therefore for like tons of modes here and there on the top 100, I just wish that they'll be on the Switch instead. Although, I think it's pretty obvious the reason why it's on the 3DS, not on the Switch though, as I said this before like countless amount of times from ever since in, back in during the likes of in 2017 or something, is because of the microphone support that usually supports in some minigames like, Dart Attack, and especially noticeable for Bloom Busters from Mario Party 7, basically. So, I wonder if it's possible they can able to bring the another top 100 Mario Party game on the Nintendo Switch, but only in forms of like in a much better scale. Well, at least I don't know about it yet, because obviously E3 is about to be like releasing about 3 weeks at this point, so even then I'm still really hyped for it, and that's as far as I can say about it. So, and finally, during the likes of in last year's E3, that they're expecting they did announce another Mario Party game, but this time on the Nintendo Switch, but somehow it calls it Super Mario Party, because, well, rather than just able to call it Mario Party 11, because it'll be like, oh man, another number and installment to the series or something like that, but instead they might actually call it Super Mario Party instead. Although it could be weird if they're actually going to call the next Mario Party game until when it gets to the point where it says Ultra Mario Party, or in this case Mario Party Ultimate. Well, again, I haven't really looked upon the forms of E3 stuff for quite some time at this point, so even then note that we have to wait and see what happens. And expecting as such for speculations, or in this case, just speculations in general. So, but anyways though, so as you can see, we now return back into Rolling Gizmo Galaxy, and this is actually a second time doing with the Star Ball sequence, so... Oh, what the... that was my fault. I was a little bit too hasty right there. It feels like Luigi's gonna have a hard time at this point right about now, because... Can you get in that Star Ball, please? Thank you. No, I just need to able to concentrate here, so even now, hopefully I don't screw this up tremendously though, and if I do, then I will be extremely disorganized. So, yeah, that's as far as usually I can say about it. So, either way, speaking of such, no new information about the forms of like, for Cap King 74 uploading schedules for quite some time, apart from the fact that he was still on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild recently, and speaking of such, he's almost there to episode 100 of that game, because I know for the fact that this is easily the longest or the biggest Zelda game in the entire history, because I know everyone loved the game, but sometimes for me, I always have a little bit of a struggle with the gameplay physics sometimes. It's because of how the fact that it kind of reminds me like I was playing Skyrim from Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, but it might take a while to be able to get used to with it, even though, because of that though, I'm more strictly to the forms of like the original Zelda experience, like you're able to get the gears and you would have kept it for good. But in Breath of the Wild, and if you manage to able to grab the weapons and stuff, it will start to break after a while. But even then, that's the only thing I need to get used to with it. In fact, I need to able to restart that game actually before I able to, or after rather, to able to actually complete other Zelda games first, like Zelda Ocarina of Time, and especially noticeable with that atrocious, well, not so much the atrocious, because that belongs to Philips CDI games, like stuff like that, and usually I haven't really get a chance to able to get back into Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link for quite a while at this point, so no idea why I've repeated myself there, but I digress. So yeah, speaking of such, another thing I want to explain about this actually is the fact that, well, we have not seen any of those Command and My 456 uploads for about a year or so right about now, because either way, the last upload that he's ever done is, of course, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze Speedrun Part 2, and the version that he's playing on is the Switch version, and as a result, that I haven't really seen that much of him these days, because obviously that, with the actual family issues or something like that, I haven't exactly noticed that. But even then, I was expecting that he was going to be originally going to do Sonic Mania Plus as the last, and probably the final Let's Play he'll do from now on. But because of that, though, that I was really excited about that, but of course that never happened. So kind of a shame, though, because even then, I really love to see his actual Let's Play of Sonic Mania Plus, especially noticeable that he's trying to go after the Chaos Emeralds and stuff, with one of the hardest special stages in this entire plus edition of that. You again, back for more ray surfing. This course is a monster, so yeah, I got this. So we got 3 minutes, and stay calm and just enjoy the surf. Of course, this will be the final time seeing this particular manta ray surfing system, because either way, expecting if we manage to complete this stage, then until whenever we get to Mario Galaxy 2, it will be replaced by something completely different. But of course, we're not going to mention about this too much, because, we haven't got to the forms of Super Mario Galaxy 2, but I'm sure maybe people already know what I'm going to talk about here. So either way, let's just go ahead and enjoy the fun ride, shall we? So yeah, you probably get the idea. So, another thing I want to explain about this, actually, is the fact that, Slim Kirby, a YouTube, my favorite YouTube of mine, is the fact that, well, he's practically doing, at the moment right now, I forgot to mention about this, actually, is the fact that he's now going to be doing his Let's Play of Donkey Kong Land 3, in this case, the final game of the Game Boy series of, Donkey Kong Land trilogy of games, which, I'm really looking forward to that, though, because I was meant to be able to go ahead and just play through Donkey Kong Land 2 on my own time, so that way I can able to actually just, do the same thing, basically. But even then, though, I'm actually going to be focusing on Donkey Kong Land 2 on my own time, so that way, after I've gone through Donkey Kong Land 2, specifically a 100% completion, I think it's about time for me to able to get into Donkey Kong Land 3, until whenever he finishes that Let's Play in general. So even then, though, as far as I've seen his Let's Play of it, he's actually doing pretty damn good, even though that he's still doing a 100% completion of that game, just like, of course, Donkey Kong Land 1, and especially noticeable with Donkey Kong Land 2 for the Game Boy. So even then, though, expecting some of these exciting moments, I should say. So, and also that he's practically doing his Let's Play, in this case the weekend Let's Play, of Lemmings for the Super Nintendo specifically, because I definitely heard about these games before, but personally, I seem to able to less interested with that Let's Play, to be honest with you, although it kind of reminds me of like a Pikmin game, but except the fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that I just never seemed able to watch those videos too much, but it's probably because I wasn't really own a game for myself, so, but even though I managed to pass on it, I'm afraid. But all in all, pretty interesting at the same time, at least. So even then, though, Now let's go ahead and just feed the Hungry Luma for about 800 of those star bits, and not to mention that we can actually get into the Big Mouth Galaxy for, let's just say, for the final time actually, for this entirety of this Let's Play, and especially noticeable, this will be the final time we're going to be hearing this, the second theme of the Comet Observatory, because whenever we access to, you know, the engine room, then we can able to actually hear the true definitive way listening to the Comet Observatory, because either way, personally I felt like the third theme of Comet Observatory looks way more relaxing, and especially noticeable as recognizable, because this is before when, you know, Super Mario 3D World were able to actually use that theme again, but on the forms of World Crown World, and especially noticeable with how the fact that with other certain titles as well. So even then though, that's far from the case, and I apologize for the actual spoiler warning for those of you who have not played Super Mario 3D World yet. So either way, that's as far as I can say about it. So even then though, as usual, we need to be using that green shell. In fact, I never actually used that on the Mario's playthrough of the game actually. So even then though, I think it's about time to able to use that potentially for reals. So what you can do with the forms of that green shell actually is the fact that you can able to pull off a massive shortcut, like you see why, as soon as we're able to get into it right now. So sometimes it can be weird like this sometimes, but apart from that though, and you were able to actually skip over for that Star Chips collectathon. So even then though, that way you can able to instantly get onto that other part of the actual underwater section, and then after all that, then you can able to grab the gold shell, and we're able to leave those, leave this entire place entirely. So even then, that will be the good way if you manage to able to do this like in a quicker, fastest method. So even then, yeah, it's not much of a big of a deal to me though. So even then though, let's go ahead and just swim up with the actual momentum of that gold shell I need to work on with, and toss the gold shell right at the gold treasure chest, and we are good to go. Man, that was close. Oh, Luigi, I almost forgot about to tell you something. I was trying to get the power star, but I fell into this treasure chest. Let me tell you, even as way, yeah. I keep on forgetting what the actual dialogue was represent for, because I know for the fact that most of the dialogue in this stage in particular is plays pretty much exactly the same as the forms of how it does it on the Mario's version, but except, well, obviously Captain Toad will say Luigi this time. So yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. So, another thing I want to explain about this, actually, is the fact that recently I managed to play through Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story for not only on the 3DS version, like I'm doing right about now, but I'm also be playing through the DS version quite briefly, because, well, I did manage to look up on a recap about the fact that how much power levels I've managed to increase up to, and it seems more accurately, though, I'm pretty much almost nearly towards of leveling up Bowser on the DS version of Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, specifically on the final boss rank, because for the love of God, it took me quite a long time to able to actually level up Bowser in the DS version, because, well, normally on the 3DS version, thankfully though, the level cap is actually decreasing this time, because in Mario & Luigi's case, I managed to got the Rainbow rank by, you know, leveling up to 30, which is pretty good if you ask me, unlike 40 on the original version, and especially noticeable with how the fact that in order to actually get the final boss rank for Bowser, is that you have to reach up to like level, I would say level 32, which is thankfully to be the case, because, well, to me though, whenever I played the DS version back in during when that game first came out, on the original DS hardware, specifically on my DSi, because that was the only DS I've ever got recently, so at least back in 2009. Jesus Christ, it's been 10 years since I've managed to first got the DSi, which is pretty shocking if you ask me, because either way, although I'm pretty sure I managed to got the pre-owned version or the newer version, but I'm guessing I managed to got myself the newer version of it, so might look like it, but I'm guessing it's because my memories are slightly vague than others, so I must admit that I do apologize for that, so forget my serious short-term memory loss situation here, so, but I digress. So here we go, folks, on to the forms of Bowser's Dark Matter plant, and I think this will be the final time we're going to be hearing this particular background music you're going to be hearing until whenever it gets like super intense until in the sequel, which even then I will mention more details onto that whenever we get to that game exponentially. So even then, this will be the final time we're going to be hearing this rendition of Bowser in a Dark World type of music from Super Mario 64, but except the fact that, well, it's a little bit more atmospheric and stuff. So even then though, and I think this would be a little bit of an opportunity is about the fact that this will be a little bit difficult for Luigi in this level because obviously he slips around all over the place, and not to mention that every time you actually did slip off from the actual let's just say the platforming sections though, specifically on the 2D sections, and most notably with any other sections in mind, that obviously you're gonna able to actually instantly get into the forms of that dangerous gooby thing instantly. So anyways though, so let's go ahead and just get on here, and let's just wait until... Why do I do that? Speaking of slipperiness, there goes my death of this level. Jeez. But good thing though is the fact that the checkpoint is right there, so expecting of such, and yeah, everything's all accounted for. So anyways, let's go ahead. Son of a biscuit! I did it again! I'm being so hasty today. For the love of Christ. Alright, let's not be so hasty this time. So even then, expecting of such, I wasn't paying that much attention. I think that's why it's happening. So yeah, it looks like I keep on getting so hasty with Luigi in this case, because unlike in Mario's case, basically that Mario doesn't give me a hard time on platforming department. Well, the only time it gives me a little bit of trouble some points is the fact that on Dreadnought Galaxy, Purple Coins challenges actually, that particular mission just goes like, I don't know, my brain's gone all over the place, you see, so... But I digress. So let's go ahead and just carefully maneuver around for this section. And hopefully when it gets to the point around here, then hop onto that little moving platform over there. And sure enough, we're able to reach all the way up to this point here by doing a little bit of a backflip right there, not to mention. And hopefully though, we're able to actually meet up with Bowser for a second time with Luigi. So, expecting so, there will be yet again another rematch. So, but even though that might be seems the case, regrettably. So even though, let's get closer to this little arena, and sure enough, we'll meet up with Bowser for the second time. What? It's you? That's it, Luigi. I'm going to stomp you into space bits. You really think so, Bowser? Well, bring it on. So yeah, you get the suggestions. Basically, it's the exact same battle as the forms of how he does it on the first time, but except the fact that, well, I don't suppose I've actually mentioned about this during the likes of in the Mario's playthrough of this battle, actually, is the fact that, you know how the fact that when Bowser Master uses his spin attack, you can't able to reflect it back, because according to the forms of, like, in certain Let's Plays, Master able to do with this particular fight. And then one thing I forgot to say about it is the fact that you can able to actually reflect the actual attack back at him. So even then though, like I'll show you in just a moment, whenever we get to the second phase, and especially noticeable with the third and final phase, then you see what I mean. So even then though, there goes the spin attack, and shake the Wiimote at the right time, and boom, he just got somewhat a little bit more harmless than everything. Well, in this case, not so much harmlessness, but it's just the fact that you don't get damaged by him, which is a good thing. So even then though, keep that in mind though, you can't do it constantly though, because every time you shake the Wiimote, it does like a little bit of a split second to able to recover to react. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So even then, it looks like we're now moving on to the third and final phase of this battle. So even then though, I cannot believe this is how getting a lot faster than attempted to. And look at my lives count right about now. Like usually I've got about 69. Yeah, as you can see that right there. Every time I shake the Wiimote, whenever I just manage to reflect the attack back at him, sometimes it does like a little bit of a split second to recover it, so you can't do it continuously though, unlike any forms of how he does it on throwing Cappy from Super Mario Odyssey and stuff like that, but comes close enough. So even then though, let's go ahead and do this one last blow at him, and boom shakalaka. So even then though, that concludes the second Bowser fight. So overall, still easy and simple. Wahahaha. Not bad. I guess I chose the right guy to be my arch enemy. At least you always put up a fight. But it's too bad for you, because my master plan is almost complete. Tough luck, Luigi. So of course we're never going to meet him again until the grand finale of the game. So even then though, that we're not going to expect to fight him anytime soon. But apart from all that though, it looks like we're almost nearly towards at the the 70 Power Stars marking, as far as I'm most likely aware of. So even then though, hopefully though, until the next video and onwards, then I shall be able to actually go after the insane amount of stars as I love to will too. So even then though, there's the 5th Grand Star for Luigi. So even as such, we've only got 2 more of those Grand Stars to go. And speaking of which, we seem to be almost nearly towards the end of Super Luigi Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy, despite the fact that, well, I'm not going to spoil things too much about this. So there we go, on to the engine room, and it looks like the Comet Observatory has been restored once again, but this time around though with, of course, you playing as Luigi, of course. And also we can now finally access to the engine room. See even then though, then again, I'm actually going to do that and during at some point in this Friday. See even then though how many power stars I've got. See even then I've got about 67, so not bad for that number. And of course we actually access to not 5 but 6 galaxies because of that center of the universe. You have earned the location of your special one. Please take a look at the circle by your feet. Again, I do apologize with the forms of that word error right there, but even then, that's as far as my pronunciation errors. That number represents the power stars you need to reach to the center of the universe. That number will decrease with each power star you recover. And when you reach 0, when it reaches 0, the Comet Observatory will regain full power and fly as a starship again. And then we'll be able to reach the center of the universe. And of course, since we actually reach up to 60 power stars count, this means that, you know, we'll instantly get into the forms of the final level already. So the Comet Observatory has full power. Now it can fly through the cosmos again. Of course, since I'm going to be going for 100% completion, just like the forms of how it does in last time, I'm actually going to wait on that. So even then, no, it's time. Do you want to go to the location of your special one to the center, at the center of the universe? I'll wait on that. So anyways though, we'll get the endings off at this point right there. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Luigi Galaxy for the Super Mario Galaxy game. Is that we're about to be approaching onto the engine room and able to gather more power stars than attempt to. So yeah, see you guys next time. Later fellas.